you mentioned Frank Hardy, as you say, legendary Australian author.
One of the greats of all time. And I actually did have the privilege when we were doing Punter to Punter back in the day.
Right.
In the studios at Triple R, I was doing interviews. I was had the old Super Scope tape recorder, and Slim Whittle decided to send me out on the road and interview people. So I'm mainly interviewing jockeys and trainers and stuff like that. But I get the call one day saying, "Oh, you're going to interview. We got Frank Hardy for you this week. He's going to come into the studio."
Hello. Yeah.
Fantastic. And like generally, out of an interview, you get 4 or 5 minutes. Well, Frank stood there for 45 minutes, just absolutely
trotting them out. Yeah.
And we were rolling around, and we had to finish it up, even though it felt like we barely got warm. And then once we finished the interview, it took an hour to get from the studio door to our cars in the street because Frank was just regaling us with all these stories. It took so long. He told
lots of politics or racing or...
One story that stands out for me is that he went to Darwin one time.
Right.
He tells a story. He went to Darwin to go in the world yarn spinning competition. Now, there's no official date for the world yarn spinning competition.
Somebody will just make it up, yeah.
Other than there was a guy in Darwin who was acknowledged as the champion, and anyone at any time could go up to Darwin and challenge him for the world title.
It's like a bare knuckle fighting or something. Yeah.
So Frank decided it would be an interesting thing to do, to go up and challenge this guy.
If nothing else, we get a story out of it,
for the world title. And the rules are pretty simple to the yarn spinning competition.
Yeah.
In that they set up a chair in a pub and they take turns standing on the chair and telling a yarn, and it goes until somebody runs out. Those are the rules. Okay?
That's what sport needs, lesser rules.
So we're talking Darwin in the 60s, and not a lot happened there. There wasn't a lot of touring acts in those days. Yeah. So you can imagine it was just the biggest event in the town. Frank Hardy's coming up to take on their bloke for the yarn spinning competition. So the pub's packed. They got like hundreds of people spilling out in the street. So they've set up a PA in the street so everyone can stand out there and drink and listen to all the stories. So he says... while it was going on, he said a bunch of American tourists landed in town and they went for a walk down the main street. And he said, with these yarns, no holds barred, right?
Yeah.
Lots of profanity, swearing,
etc.,
etc. And they were absolutely outraged about what was coming out of the PA.
Yeah, welcome to the outback,
the streets.
Folks,
So they went back to their hotel and they rang the
Americans.
The Americans went back to their hotel to ring the police station to voice their outrage. And a lady rings up and says, "I want to speak to the officer in charge." And the voice on the other end says, "He's not here." He said, "Oh, well, I want to speak to the second in charge." He said, "Well, he's not here either." He said, "No one's here." She said, "Well, who are you?" He said, "I'm actually under arrest." He said, "Everyone's gone to the yarn spinning competition, so they left the cell door open so I could answer the phone."